welcome back to part 2 of our Eurogamer 2013 special. So Al, what are we going to be doing today? Well, it's still the same day, but...
no, we're just going to go check out more of the place. So if you didn't see our last episode, do that first, and then we're going to go see more stuff that's here at Eurogamer.
Sexy biscuits. Right, so here we are at the retro section of Eurogamer 2013. This is an area that's been built by Retro Events. We're hoping to get, we're going to have an interview with the guy that runs Retro Events later on. But Al has managed to stumble across quite an obscure console. What is it, Al?
It's the Vetrix. And the Vetrix is absolutely awesome. It has vector graphics, so everything is insanely sharp. And it was also one of the first sort of early attempts at a joystick as well. I believe it was actually designed by a guy who was a pilot, and he was the one who actually brought the idea of a joystick to it. And if you see, we've even got buttons, like just the layout is so unlike what came later on.
Yes, you can see that it's like a console unto itself. It's got a monitor built into it, and it only displays graphics in sort of vectors. As you can see, everything's quite angular, like it's been drawn with a ruler.
It's also a portrait as well, which is quite unique to that system.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of, so it's really good for shoot 'em ups, especially ones that go kind of vertically up the screen. Although we've got a sort of a horizontal one here. I don't even know what game this is. Is it Defender or something like that? I think.
But you get things like Space Invaders on this as well, and
I think there was a Star Trek game actually. Was
it? Was, yeah.
So yeah, that's the Vetrix. Right, so here we are with yet another fantastic example in the replay or the retro events section, the retro section of Eurogamer 2013, and it's kind of the ultimate retro console that you're seeing right here. It's the Atari 2600 or the Atari VCS, whatever you know it by, and there it is. I mean, it's a fantastic specimen, probably the only console that has a wood finish, and it's got an interesting device on top of it. I mean, what is that, Al?
It's basically just a cartridge switcher, so rather than us having to switch cartridges, you basically just select a number and you get to play a completely different game.
Yeah, I don't know if that was an accessory. It looks like it looks pretty old, so it must be an accessory that was available when it was out. So yeah, a Atari 2600 multi-changer. So Al, you're playing a game. Looks like you've died, I think. What are you playing?
Pitfall, which was Atari's first game after a bunch of developers ended up leaving Atari.
Yeah, because you'll notice Activision are the guys that have made this. Activision are now famous for Guitar. Is it Guitar Hero or is it Rock Band they do? It's Guitar Hero, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, this is basically where they started. You can see you're kind of a little man. What is it you're doing?
I am running over hills and barrels or logs or something like that through a forest filled with trees.
No way!
Two, not just one, but two different shades of green.
Screw Halo. This is a dude running over barrels in a forest.
I'm not doing very well either. But I'm about to jump over a rope swing, and here we go, and there we go, right over the hole.
So yeah, Atari, the founders of the video game industry, pretty much. So respect.
I keep getting eaten by crocodiles.
So yeah, we found another kind of really obscure, random crap console. If you're a fan of Alan Sugar of The Apprentice fame and Amstrad fame, you'll probably be all over this bad boy. It's the Amstrad GX4000. I mean, what a name for a console. It's got like numbers and the letter X in it, which is a good combination normally, but not in this case. I mean, that's it. What the shitting tits is that? So Al, give us some backstory to this.
So, well, this is only really available in the UK, so for any of you American viewers or from elsewhere, you've probably never even seen one of these. One of my friends used to have this. I do actually have fond memories of playing it, but it hasn't aged well at all. Just to give you an idea of how dumb this entire thing is, this is a game called Burning Rubber that's shipped with it, and in order to go, you have to push the up button, and then you rock from side to side to actually turn. There's no using these buttons to accelerate, it's up. Who the hell does that? And I've hit an Amstrad sign. They're just advertising themselves in this game as well, which isn't even doing them any favours.
Basically, shit version of Outrun. Would you agree, Al?
That's putting it kindly.
Yeah. And look at the resolution. Look at the resolution on that. It's got like more borders than a country that's broken up into smaller countries. And look at the NES. This is right here. The NES is as 8-bit as they come, and look at the difference. I mean, you know, hashtag crap. Okay, so Al he saw one machine and just kind of wandered off and jumped on it on his own because he was that excited about it. What is it, Al?
It is a BBC Micro Model B. It's a very famous computer that was made by Commodore for the BBC to use in one of their educational shows, just so that everybody could basically be learning on the same platform. As a learning computer, though, it did end up finding its way mostly into schools, which is where most of us at our age are actually familiar with it from.
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had one in our school and we used it to learn programming with I think it was called Logo or something, the software, where you had a triangle on the screen and you tapped out commands to make that move. Al, oh my god, you just programmed something. Do it again.
Well, one line. That's it. That's all I've done so far.
Look at the line, look at the line.
But BBC Basic was just a programming language which you got to learn on this kind of thing. I grew up with this and it's good fun. It's absolutely good fun. I should actually do this, really.
Yeah, actually one of my favourite all-time games, it might even be my favourite all-time game, actually that series started on the BBC Micro. It's called Elite, which is a game where you basically have a ship. Think of it as Grand Theft Auto in space. You have a ship in space and you can do what you want. You can be a pirate, you can smuggle people, you can smuggle narcotics, you could be a pirate and just kill other spaceships and nick their stuff, or you could be a nice person and run missions and join the army and be a taxi and things like that. What are you doing, Al?
I'm coding stuff.
So Al is being very immature with the BBC Micro. No doubt something he did while he was actually in primary school using one. What are you doing, Al, here?
I am programming a question program which asks various questions.
It's a little bit naughty and immature, something we're known for.
Yeah.
Al is demonstrating how slow he can type at the moment as well on the BBC Micro.
Well, you have to push down quite a lot.
You have to push down quite a lot?
Yes.
We're talking about BBC Micro. I hope we are. We're starting to get a crowd of people wondering what the shitting hell you're doing.
So we've mentioned a few times on this show that we are big fans of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or Hero Turtles for those of us here in the UK, and Trev's playing one on the NES. Which game specifically is this one, Trev?
Yeah, it's got a bit of a weird title. It's Turtles 2, the arcade game. I'm on a bit of trouble with black balls at the moment. Black balls. Yeah, it's Turtles 2, the arcade game. There was already a Turtles game on the NES that was a bit rubbish, that was sort of platforming based.
It kind of top down as well. It's very much kind of inspired by Zelda, I think.
Yeah, it was a very bizarre mix of like gameplay. But at the time there was an arcade game that came out that was way better and was actually bloody good by Konami of Pro Evolution Soccer and Metal Gear Solid fame these days. And yeah, as the sequel to that kind of crap first NES game, Konami adapted the arcade game that was way better into a game for the NES, and they named it Turtles 2, the arcade game. It came out over here as well on the Amiga and a few other formats, so it was called Turtles 2 or Turtles the Coin Op on the Amiga, because we tended to call arcade machines coin ops, as in coin operated. But yeah, this is actually a really good game, even for the NES.
Yeah, especially as an 8-bit port. I mean, even the speed on it is just exactly what you'd expect. You know, people who've played Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo will know exactly what we're talking about. It's the exact same kind of thing, but 8-bit style.
Yeah, there was another Turtles game on the NES after this, Turtles 3, which is basically this, like a reskin of this game, where it was different levels, but it was essentially the same game. We didn't get that only came out in the US. It's called Turtles 3, the Manhattan Project. But then we got Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, which is amazing. Yeah, we love it quite a lot.
Okay, so Trev's now playing a fantastic classic for the Super Nintendo. Woo! Which is?
It's Starwing, also known as Star Fox in the USA, but we got it. I think there was some copyright issue and they had to change the name.
It's always a copyright issue. There's always some form of copyright issue, like even the Mega Drive, Genesis.
Yeah, well, I think Starwing sounds good, actually.
It does, yeah, it does.
Although now that copyright thing doesn't happen, it doesn't exist, and games are now Star Fox in this series. But this is the first ever one. You can see it's. This is the first NES game, I think it was the first one to use the Super FX chip, which is why we've got all this crazy 3D vector graphics blocky stuff going on.
And it was amazing that Rare were able to push the console to its limits in a way that had never been seen before.
I don't think it was Rare, I think it was Argonaut. What was it, Argonaut that made this game, yeah. But it was Nintendo that kind of published it. So yeah, Al really knows the Super Nintendo there.
I thought it was rare.
No, it's no, it's not rare.
Oh,
I think it's Argonaut.
Okay.
We don't exist anymore, I think.
No, okay.
Should we all cut that bit out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Should we just...
Yeah. But I mean, I still remember as a kid going over to my friend's house and seeing this and just being blown away by how good the graphics were, especially as I had a Mega Drive.
Yeah, this is the kind of the game that really showed the difference. I mean, it's kind of cheating a bit because it's got the Super FX chip in it. It's the first game to have the Super FX chip, which made these weird, blocky, 3D, crazy, awesome graphics. And the Mega Drive couldn't really do this at the time. So yeah, it really showed the difference between the two machines and kind of why I wanted one at the time.
And favourite moment of this game?
To be honest, there's too many. I mean, there's the boss at the end, a guy called Andros. Sounds like a Greek name or something. He's like a giant face, which kind of sounds lame, but he's like a really blocky giant face that kind of looked absolutely amazeballs cool. Back in like 1993-4 time when I first played this. So yeah, that's probably my favourite moment of this game. Favourite SNES game, Al? Have you got one?
Turtles in Time.
Turtles in Time.
Does that even need to be asked?
That is my favourite game as well. I'm thinking there's going to be a Console Shock episode very soon on Turtles in Time. It'll be like 3-hour special or something. Okay, right. So we've managed to stumble across a particularly special console for me and Al, who are kind of big Sega fanboys. Excusing my T-shirt at the moment, of course. It's none other than the Sega effing Dreamcast. Probably my top three, one of my top three all-time favourite consoles. Probably definitely my favourite Sega console by a mile. Probably the most successful failed console ever made. And Al, what are you doing?
I'm playing Crazy Taxi.
What is Crazy Taxi?
Basically, you drive around in a taxi, picking up people and dropping them off at their destination, and you get extra tips off your passengers for driving crazy.
Crazy! So yeah, this is actually originally an arcade game, Crazy Taxi. There was a lot of arcade games that used the Dreamcast hardware. In fact, look at it, isn't that a beautiful console? One of the nicest looking consoles around, CD based of course. But yeah, a lot of arcade machines, Sega used the hardware inside for arcade machines. One of them was Crazy Taxi, there was Virtua Tennis, even Dead or Alive 2 and a few others used it, which means they were very easily sort of ported across to the Dreamcast. And yeah, just an amazing system. I don't really want to talk about it too much because we're probably going to be doing a Console Shock dedicated episode to this mother. But yeah, Al, last thoughts on the Dreamcast?
It turns out that I'm driving the Reverend from Firefly. This is kind of cool.
Wait, you got to go to the church, right?
So, I don't know, but there's a KFC here. In fact, there was a lot of product placement on this game. There's even HMV.
Follow the arrow. It's Tower Records, not HMV.
It's the church.
But anyway.
There it is, church.
And the dirt is gone. So, we've got yet another retro console find here. It's the Panasonic 3DO. So this came out, it's around 1993. It was very expensive when it came out. It was a very powerful machine. It was about £500 in the UK. But you know, it was a 32-bit machine. It was way ahead of the Mega Drive and the SNES, which were doing the rounds in those days. The game I'm playing right now is something called Return Fire. I have played this game before, but it was a while. Oh, I just blew up. That's a bit of shit of me. Let's try that again. It's actually a really good console. I quite like it. It's quite underrated. It's got the best version of, as you'll see in episode 3 of Console Shock, the best version of Street Fighter, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo you can get. How do I actually select? There we go. So yeah, it's kind of well worth checking out the console just for Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Very close to the arcade version. Oh, that's really irritating. So the drive you have to hold up in this game. And this is actually one of the sort of the classic games on the 3DO, Return Fire. It is on the PS1 as well if you want to play it. But yeah, 3DO, underrated. It failed because it was way too expensive and it was too ahead of its time, and then the PlayStation and the Sega Saturn came out, and it didn't really have much of a chance against them. But yeah, well worth checking out anyway, if only for Street Fighter 2. Right, so we've only gone and managed to get ourselves a little go on the CDI, which is a terrible games console from the 90s. But I did actually want one at the time, because it was like, you know, wow, the games are on CDs, but people like to slag off the controller. That actually feels quite nice. It's very plasticky, but I think that's kind of cool. Here we go, The Apprentice. Oh, they seem to have made a video game based on the BBC TV show The Apprentice, which is quite impressive because that would be in the future to this. This game's console came out about 1992-3, I believe. I'm going to play a new game. And here we are. Oh, I just died. Right. So yeah, it's a little bit cheap. It has an enemy already coming towards you in the very first screen. So it looks like it's a fairly straightforward platform game. Do I have any weapons? No. Oh yes, I do. I have a wand that fires balls of fire. Something we all like to do. Now those chains look to me like you can climb on them, and I keep jumping on them as if I can climb on them, but you actually can't. Oh, I died again. So it's basically one hit and you're dead. I'm going to try one more time before I give up completely on this piece of shit. There's a flaming thing. Wait for that to go. There we go. Oh, there we go. There's various spikes. I can't tell if they're spikes or if they're just part of the background, these things. It would seem they're just part of the background, which is great. Okay, I'm pressing the wrong button, there we go. It's like a weird half-naked woman, and I nearly died. Actually not doing bad now. Oh, I just died. Yeah, so that was, shit. See you in part 3. Can we do this again?